back to Unfiltered Perspectives. I'm Tara.
I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Leslie.
Today, we're talking about something we're all familiar with, showing up for one another. Through the highs and the lows and everything in between, we'll discuss the different ways we support and stand by one another. But it's not just about how we show up. It's also about the expectations we carry for others and the implicit understandings between people in any relationship. This means that showing up for someone isn't always straightforward and can involve unspoken agreements, adding layers of complexity to these interactions. Join us as we navigate the complexities of showing up, unpacking what it truly means to be there for someone, and examining the reciprocity of support. Unfiltered Perspectives, where real talk leads to real growth and every perspective is valued. Ladies?
Thank you for that intro into this topic today, Tara. How we show up for others and also how we expect others to show up for us. So let's get into it. I honestly don't know how to start this topic because so many things came to mind. What we expect from others. Is it a responsibility depending on the person's role in your life? Showing up obviously looks different to everyone. When I look at different relationships, I'm in a child. You choose to be a parent. Does that make you obligated until that child reaches a certain age or a certain stage in their life to show up for them in every area? When you choose to be a spouse, you're obligated to show up for that significant other. Like you said, through the ups and downs, the highs and the lows. Are you held to that same standard or accountability? If it's a sibling, if it's a friend, if it's a coworker, where does it start? Where does it end? I guess that's the question. Is it too much to expect certain people to show up the way you need them to?
So is it too much to expect? That sounds like there's something behind it. And let me ease into it. I think that, so you laid out a lot of different kinds of relationships. And I think what's reasonable to expect is probably different, right? So for example, when we get married, we make an actual covenant, right? An actual promise around what the person can expect from us, which is different from most friendships. When we have a child, we don't. So when we have a child, we don't necessarily make an actual covenant, but it's also true that in lots of religions, we do make an actual covenant, right? In mine, in Unitarian Universalism, we do a child dedication where the parent and the congregation make an actual promise to the child about how we will show up. I think in Christianity, right, people, when we are christened, when we do baptisms, I think it might also, well, I don't want to guess about other religions, but there are like religious practices too, where parents explicitly make that promise to show up for children. And I think it's a general cultural expectation, even beyond that parents will show up for children. Friends, I don't know. I think for friends, it's really much more open.
So do you agree with the fact that when you step into a certain role, you take on a certain responsibility? So it is somewhat, I guess, for lack of a better term, required and expected in certain relationships.
I think so. But I like to clarify and be explicit about what those expectations are rather than, because I think it's often the case that without that explicit clarification, we have different expectations about what this relationship is or what we're promising each other.
Right.
And that's when we run into trouble.
That's for those individuals between themselves to define, clarify what the expectation is. How I need you to show up for me and how you expect me to show up for you. But it is definitely an expectation that maybe a friendship or coworkers or some other type of relationship would not be so demanding or would not have.
I think that it's important when we're talking about showing up for others that we're clear about what it is we mean. So far, you've talked about parent relationships and friendships and, spousal relationships, but also it seems like we're talking in terms of a formal like statement or a formal relationship where there's a covenant in place and, I've pledged this, I've pledged that. But how about just in terms of more casual relationship? For me, it's when I think about showing up, I'm not thinking about like a marital vow that I may have made or a promise that I may have made to my child or what my child might formally expect of me. To me, it simply means being there for somebody in any way that they need, whether it is just to be in place if they need someone to talk to be there to celebrate their highs and their lows, to be, well, not their lows, but to
We
be
don't want to
there to
celebrate
celebrate when
those.
no, we don't want to celebrate that, but we do want to be there when they're trying something new, just to say, hey, good job, or I'm here for you. If you need me, I'm here. If you being a dependable and reliable presence in somebody's life and being able to provide them with whatever kind of solace or encouragement or celebration that they need or that they want at a particular time.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I used married couples. I used parents and children. I used coworkers, friends, but that's just across the board. I also, used siblings, supporting your siblings in whatever it is they're doing. Like you just said, just venturing out into something new, starting a business, going back to school, whatever it is. How are you showing up for that person? Can they count on you? Are you reliable? Are you returning phone calls and text messages? Are you saying, hey, good job? Are you being consistent with your support, whatever that support looks like for you and that person, any relationship?
But do you expect all of those same things from everybody that you're in relationship with? How do you determine what things you're expecting from this person versus that person?
I don't expect it from every person that I have a relationship with. I expect it from certain people based on the level of our relationship, based on where our relationship is. I am one of 10 siblings, each one of them different. Because I know their differences, I kind of know what to expect from each one of them, and I know how their support will show up. I know, Kim, how your support will show up. I know how Tara's support will show up. And it may show up differently, but I need it to show up. I need it to, it's going to be different because the two of you are different.
Yeah.
My siblings are going to show up differently because they're differently. I almost don't even care how much or how a person shows up. I just need you to show up.
Yeah.
Well, is it true though that you really don't care how? Because, well, I don't know. It is conceivable to me that somebody is showing up in the way that they think is showing up, but to you doesn't actually look like showing up. And I'm going to use my language. I can certainly think about situations that I have been in where what looks like showing up to me is not what looks like showing up to the other person. And they think they're doing absolutely okay.
Well, when I think of showing up, I think of showing up in a positive way. I don't think of it as a negative thing. So if you're showing up in a positive way. So if you're showing up means if I'm running a business, if you're showing up and you're purchasing something, you're supporting. If you're sharing, or if you're just saying a good job, keep at it. Let me know how it's going. And you never purchase any. Or if you say, hey, how did your event go? You've shown up the way you know how. And it was all positive. Each one of those things are positive things. So that's what I mean, where I don't necessarily care in which capacity. Just show up, be encouraging, support, share, whatever. If I'm having a bad day, maybe you can't get to me right away. You know, I'm having a rough day. You know, I'm struggling. You don't have 30 minutes to call me, but you have 2 minutes to shoot me a text. Hey, I know you're having a rough day. Keep your head up. Keep your chin up. I'm praying for you. Love you. Something. That's how you show up.
But does showing up also mean being around to actually know that you're having a rough day?
If you are in my circle of friends, family, and we're connected, and that's not everybody. Your circle shouldn't be that big. My circle's not that big. But if you're in my circle, you should know. Even if I'm quiet, you should know. If you know me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
If I talk to you every day and you don't hear from me, you should be calling and saying, hey, you good? That's how you show up. Y'all are quiet.
I'm leaving space for Tara, who hasn't said much. I have many thoughts.
Okay.
Tara.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I don't need people to be physically with me all the time. I don't, by showing up, that's not what I mean. I mean that if I am doing something new, if I am experiencing something that I actually share with other people and I get no response back, that's not showing up for me. And that's making me feel awful. If I tell you that, hey, I need this to happen so that I can achieve this. And your response to me is, no, I don't think so. That's not showing up. You might have responded to me, but you're not being helpful to me at all. That's not showing up for me. I think of it in terms of being, as Leslie said, something positive. And even if you can't be positive and you're inclined to be neutral, that's fine. At least you're acknowledging that you've heard what it is I've said. You're acknowledging that you've received what it is I've put out there. But to just let things go with no kind of response whatsoever,
Mm-hmm.
that's the opposite of what I mean. It means being there for them in whatever way it is that you can be there, whether it's emotionally, sometimes it's physically, sometimes it's emotionally, during good things, during bad things. It means support. It means encouragement. It means empathy, but it means connection. It means something. And a lot of times what I feel, what I find, what I've observed is that people are not making that connection.
And two keywords that Tara said, speaking about herself, she said, for me. That's what she needs. That's how she needs that person to show up for her. And if you're connected to her, if you're listening to her, if you're engaging and you're paying attention, you will know that that's what she needs. Everybody's need is different. You have to know, if you're connected to someone, how to show up for that person. Tara may need a hug. Kimberly may need a phone call. Leslie may need you to leave her alone today. I don't know. But, in all seriousness, you have to know that person and know what it is they're in need of in that moment for that particular situation.
Yeah. To me, it's about showing that you care, showing the person that you care about them. Simple.
Well, I hear that, and I actually don't think it's that simple. I am the outlier because I don't like to, and I probably don't do a very good job at guessing what it is that people need. And so I don't think knowing or intuiting or figuring out what a person needs is always simple. I mean, you've described two different kinds of responses, right? You've described a negative response to something that you're doing. And you've also described a lack of response to something that you're doing. I think those are very different. I think a negative response is clearly pretty, I don't know, are we a PG? I think a negative response is pretty crappy. I think a no response, though, can mean a lot of different things. A no response can mean, I actually didn't know this thing was happening. A no response could mean, I didn't realize that you wanted a response. A no response could mean, I don't have anything good to say, so I'm not going to say anything at all. So I know like a lack of response can mean a lot of different things.
Right.
And I wonder if, I don't know, I wonder if sometimes we expect people to respond in a way without actually being clear about what it is that we need.
Okay, well,
Sometimes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, well, let me say this. I spoke of, if you know me well enough, you should kind of know what's going on with me. There are people that I'm connected to that can pick up on that. So, but outside of that, I get what you're saying, Kim, about if you don't know, you don't want to have to guess. So I think Tara and I are also talking about people that know things are going on. People that
Yeah.
know things, situation, events, things of that nature. They're fully aware and they do not support in any way. Or they don't respond. They don't even respond to what's happening. Am I correct, Tara?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. There have been times when I have flat out made announcements or said things and there's no, but you don't get anything. Or what you get is just so, I don't even want to say negative. It's not necessarily negative, but it just shows a decided lack of interest.
Yeah.
And to me, I mean, that's crappy. Even if what I like, for instance, if I'm doing I don't want to get specific. I don't want to step on any toes or anybody's feet.
Oh, let's step on some toes.
I don't want to do that.
I hope
But
it's not my toes.
Listen. The toes that we'll step on probably won't listen to this anyway because they don't
Whoop,
support.
whoop.
So go.
oh,
Okay.
okay. I'll speak of specific one particular instance. Let's say I do these book clubs and I've let people know about them, including close family members, whatever. And I can count on one hand the number of people who have actively supported me, actively show me any kind of support. And okay, if what I'm doing right now is not your cup of tea, that's fine. You don't have to join. I wouldn't even want you to. But maybe it's okay to say, hey, I see you're doing that. That looks fun. Or hey, you see that? That looks great. Good luck. Congratulations. Oh, when the time has passed, how did it go? I mean, and you don't even have to go that far, but don't just act like I didn't say anything. And it just, yes. I'm sorry, Kimberly.
Can I ask you, in this particular situation, because I know what my response was, am I one of the people who you would count as having supported or not supported?
I would say that you have offered support for that because you actually had a response. There have been some people who's like, I'll just come out and say it. My mom and one of my uncles has been there for me no matter what it is that I've done. They always show up. I don't know. It just hurts. It just hurts when you have so many siblings or cousins or uncles or aunts or just friends or people you thought were your friends. And, you know, not everyone is interested in the same things that you're interested in. Not everyone, I don't know. It just hurts. It just hurts when people kind of just like blow you off or just,
Don't invest in you in the same way that you have invested in them.
yes.
And
Something like that. Or even not even if you can't invest, at least pretend you might want to. Pretend at least show me that you care about my feelings. Show me that you care not to hurt me. And I know what you said before, Kim, like people don't want to have to guess about what it is that you need. But a simple acknowledgement goes a long way. And if I am consistently there for you, not you specifically, but I'm consistently there for other people. It's because that's how I think people should be showing up for others when they need something. Be there in the background to offer support, be there to offer encouragement, be there to say, I got your back, be there to, I don't know, maybe pep me up, lift me up,
right.
not knock me down, not tell me, oh, I'm not going to do this because, I don't like that. Or I'm not going to be there for you because, I don't want to hear about that. Or I don't want to do that for you because, I'm not interested in that particular genre of book that you're reading. That's fine. You don't have to, but at least you're showing me that you've heard what it is that I've said.
Right.
At least it shows me that, maybe this is not your thing, but maybe next time it will be. But if you're the person who, no matter what it is I have to offer, no matter what it is I'm asking for, you're always no, 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 or that's not my thing. That's not my thing. It's yours, but it's not my thing. That is hurtful to me because even though you may be someone who is doing something that doesn't interest me at all, I'm still going to be there for you. I'm still going to be there to encourage you. I'm still going to be there to say, "Hey, that's great." Or maybe I might chime in for a few, look into what it is you're doing for a couple of minutes. Maybe I might visit your website, even though I don't want to, I don't want to partake of any of your services. Maybe I don't want to, or it's not my cup of tea, but I know people who it might appeal to. Maybe I'll mention it to them.
Right.
I'll have resources or connections that I can help build you up or build what it is you're doing. And I find that I don't get a lot of that in my life from people. And I try to be that for everybody else,
You do.
everyone
You
else.
do.
And I don't, it's not reciprocated. And so that leads to hurt, it leads to resentment. And I'm so sorry about the tears, guys, on this
No,
recording.
this is real stuff. It's real stuff. Real pain. It's real stuff. And
It
we've talked
hurt so much.
before. So you know that I relate. And I feel bad because I'm not a part of the book. But we've talked about me and reading, but I try to support in other ways. When I go on social media, Tara, and I share, what you're doing. I share the coaching and even put it in my journal so that people can see it, or, you know, asking you about some of the other things that you're working on. And I won't mention it. You can mention it if you want to mention it, because that's up to you. But I try to support in other ways. And sometimes I miss it. I miss the mark, So if I have not supported you the way you've expected, then I apologize. And I just, but tell me that. It's okay to tell me that. But I get it, because I feel exactly the way you do. If I step on toes, y'all, say ouch and get the lesson at this point, because I have siblings, nieces and nephews, and aunts and friends. Some of them, if you ask them what I'm doing or what I've done, they couldn't tell you. And it's not about financial support. It's about you may not have an interest in what I'm doing, but share it with somebody that might. Or say, I listened to your podcast. Or, hey, I listened to you and Tara on the radio station. Hey, I heard you and Tara and Kim. Great job. Or, hey, your journals look great for my friend's daughter. Or just give us something. Give us something to keep us encouraged. And it's not always about, our business or what we're doing. Hey, I heard you feeling well. How you feeling today? Just let us know you care. That's how you show up.
And sometimes, and sometimes it's about putting aside your own needs and priorities just for a moment to prioritize what it is that someone else may need or may want. That's all I want. And I don't think that courtesy, I don't think that showing kindness are things that people have to guess at. They don't have to necessarily, and I'm maybe using the word intuit in a different way, but it's not something that needs to be guessed at. It's something I thought comes naturally to people, but I guess it doesn't.
Yeah, well, I think that it does come naturally to some people. And, in defense of those that it doesn't come naturally to, I think that just for everybody, life is just lifing. Like they say, people get busy and they're trying to just get through their stuff. And the next thing you know, it's tomorrow every day. The next thing you know, it's tomorrow. The next thing you know, it's tomorrow. And they really just don't think about it, because everybody get through.
Yeah. I will say, and as much as I'm sitting here boohooing, I know that there's a particular instance I know where I know that I have not been the best at this. I have a friend who, and we don't talk all the time, and sometimes we go months without talking. But I think a lot of times the reason that we may go months without talking is because I have a plan to like reach out to this friend and I don't, but eventually, life keeps going. And by the time I'm like, I really need to do this. Months have passed or many weeks have passed and I'm embarrassed about reaching out. I'm embarrassed to say I'm sorry that I didn't contact you when.
Well, why did I contact you though?
That's true too. But I
Because I
always
do.
for me, I take it on myself because I control my own actions.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore.
You don't control your own actions, or you don't take other people's actions onto yourself.
Feel bad because I'm like, oh, I got to call this one, I got to call that one. I haven't heard from them in this amount of time. And I haven't heard, and I'm like, our phone lines go in both directions, and nope, not doing it. Oh, I haven't heard from you. I'm right where you left me last time I called you. I'm still here. So no, I don't feel the obligation to be the person that has to call all the time. If my heart leads me to do that, I will do it, but I'm not going to feel obligated because you can do the same thing. You can reach out the same way.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Kim.
I don't know. I think my expectations are different. I think my expectations of other people are a lot lower. I don't know what to make of that. But I also am in my friend group, I am the recipient of a lot of grace. I am not the friend who picks up the phone. I'm rarely the friend who picks up the phone to make the phone call, who starts the plans to get together. I used to be the friend who often couldn't pick up the phone when it rang because I'm so busy doing other things. And my friends are so gracious. They understand that that's not me and they love me and they pick up the phone. If
How they show
so,
up for you.
yeah.
Okay.
I think what I am saying is I imagine that given the ways that you both are describing your needs and expectations, I would often land on the side of not showing up. And I am fortunate. I am the fortunate recipient of grace for that. But I also don't expect, I don't think I expect the same things from other people either. So here's this like golden rule, platinum rule thing, right? I think that because I don't have a lot of expectations for myself in this regard, it doesn't seem wrong to me when I also am not really doing a lot in terms of reaching out because I don't expect a lot of reaching in. And if I were applying the platinum rule, right, I wouldn't reach out based on my expectations of how people are reaching into me. I would reach out based on your expectations of how you want people to be reaching out to you.
And I don't want to become a selfish person. Anything I do for anyone, I do it from my heart. I try not to do anything that's going to burden me. If I do it, it's from my heart. But I also don't want to become so disappointed in people that I start to say, I'm not showing up for anyone anymore because certain people don't show up for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just give and give and I get nothing in return. Well, that's not true because when I give, I get the satisfaction of giving in return. So I want to stay in that place. But there were times when I'm just kind of over it. I'm just kind of, I will say, you know what? Let me correct myself. I'm not over showing up for people, but I'm just oversharing certain areas of my life with people because I don't feel like it's celebrated by the people you expect to celebrate, support, and show up, if that makes sense.
So what do you do when people don't show up for you in the way that you want them to?
I cry. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. There was, Tara, there was a time where it was part of what would cause the self-doubt. It would make me question my ability in that particular area. It would lead to my depression. And then I don't want to try anything new. I don't want to complete a task. I don't want to complete a project. And I have to clap for myself, I don't share as much of what I'm doing with the people that I used to share it with. I share it with the people that are going to support. I share it with the people that are going to celebrate. I'll share it with the people that are going to say, I don't know about that. Maybe this, because I'm okay with the criticism because I know it's done in love. I share it with the people that are going to show up the way I need them to show up.
And for me, I want to be clear. I'm not showing up for other people because I want them to show up for me. It's just notable or noticeable to me that I don't get that same, there's not that reciprocity as I mentioned earlier. What do I do when people don't? I shrug my shoulders. I'm like, okay, I see.
We do a podcast and we tell them, no, I'm just kidding.
I did not want, yeah.
Is this where I say, listen, if you think this is about you, it is.
No,
if you think this
I'm
is not about
that.
you,
Nope.
it is.
I'm not going to say that. But yeah, I mean, when that happens, I'm not going to, I joked before, but sometimes I do cry. And most times I have to shrug my shoulders like, okay, bet. Got you. But I can't bring myself, well, I'm explaining it, but I can't bring myself to act in that same way towards people because that's just not, I don't have that in me. That's not who I am. I'm going to be me no matter what. But that's just it. And I just let it go.
That they have hurt you?
I do sometimes tell people that they have hurt me. I don't always tell people that they have hurt me because sometimes I don't think that they care that they've hurt me, or they'll may not take it as seriously or as serious as it is. Because I think many people like you, they don't see that the way they show up or don't is important to the person who is at the heart of it.
Or they don't care. And when confronted, you're in your feelings.
Oop.
Move on.
Oop. That sounds like it's coming, as Kim said earlier, that sounds like it's coming from someplace.
We had a full circle moment right here.
Show up for each other right here, the three of us.
Yes. And I will say, Kimberly, as you said that you are the person who doesn't do this, that, and the other. I cannot think of anything or any time where I needed you or wanted you to show up for me in a new way that you have not done so. You're always there for me.
Well, that makes me relieved. I often worry that I'm not showing up for people in the way that they want, or even necessarily in the ways that I would want to. So I think that it sounds like I'm making excuses for people who don't show up. And I think because I feel like I want somebody to make excuses for me. I don't know. I recognize the other side of it. I feel personally, I have so much to do. I have so many responsibilities. I have not a lot of safety net, and I never get to all the things that I want to do in a day. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, they're just, and I feel defensive. I feel defensive at the idea that this is an area where I'm not measuring up.
What I will say though is that people who love you and expect you to show up for them, they understand that, they recognize that you have all these obligations, that you have all these things going. And as you said about your friends, there's a lot of grace, but I don't even think grace is necessarily what is needed, or it's more about how, because you don't have a lot of time, I don't think people expect you to show up in that way. You know what I mean? People understand what it is that you're able, or they think they may understand what it is that you're able to offer and give. And nobody expects you to suffer in order to provide them with something that they want. If that makes any sense to you at all. I didn't say it in the right way, but
I hear what you're saying. I don't think I agree though.
I don't think that you're not showing up. I think that your friends, your family, your circle recognize the way you show up.
Right.
You understand? I can't speak to Tara. I'm talking about people that don't show up in any way, in any capacity. You have a way of showing up Kim's way. Tara has a way of showing up Tara's way. Leslie shows up Leslie's way. Certain people have the time, the know-how, whatever, the capacity. They just don't show up. They don't support. That's what we're talking about. You show up your way.
Yes, that's what.
And your friends and your family know what that looked like. I hope that Tara knows with all the stuff I have going on, when I show up, and how I show up, that's my way.
Yeah.
When she shows up, I know her way. Kim, when I call you and you show up, I know you know what I mean? We recognize people for how they are, what's going on in their life, and the way they show up for us. We also recognize those people that absolutely just do not at all.
You said it the way
Does
I
that
couldn't say it. Yes.
does that make sense, Kim?
It does. I think you both said it really clearly.
Yeah. You're
I wonder, so I said something along the lines of, I don't have a lot of expectations of people. I think that is true. But I think part of what that is for me is I sort of recognize what somebody is either capable of or what I can expect that they will do. And I clock it. This is what it is. And then I adjust my expectations accordingly. So I experience less hurt and more, not even necessarily confirmation. I don't experience a lot of hurt because I don't know. It
makes me think of something I used to say. I probably heard it. I'm sure we all have. Expect nothing, you won't.
Aw.
Yeah, it's pretty sad, right?
It is, because it's not that I expect nothing. I expect the world. No, I'm kidding. I don't expect the world, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's it's sad that I've been there. I know people that have been there, and it's you become so guarded. If I expect nothing from anyone, I won't be disappointed. It's really sad, but it's true.
I'm sorry, Kim, go ahead.
You reminded me of this quote. So I don't have scripture, but I do have a lot of literature. But from Alice Walker, it's expect nothing, live frugally on surprise. There's a much longer poem, but I think about that all the time. Expect nothing, live frugally on surprise. So my expectations, I think, are a lot lower, which leaves a lot of room for me to be delighted when people do things.
I will keep that in mind.
See, I don't know how I'm using this word expectations, because nobody is I fully understand that nobody is obligated to do any of these things. It's just that I would hope that they would, and that's all there is to it. Proverbs 17:17 specifically says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity." And to me, that really just encapsulates the essence of what I'm talking about here, that people are there for you in the good times, and they're there to celebrate with you. They're there for you in the bad times. You need a shoulder to cry on, someone to lean onto. And I just think that to be there for others and to give them what it is, well, as much as you can, give them what it is that they need.
I hear you. Whew.
So I think it talks about basically having meaningful connections and to be there just like I'm expecting other people to be there, to be there for them when they need me, when they need us, knowing that they'll be there to do the same for me. But to do the same for us. That's all I'm talking about.
All right, ladies, good stuff. Once again.
Good stuff.
So since we're talking about showing up for one another, which also to me means support, I want to take a few minutes to not only recognize and acknowledge so many of our listeners. I want to take a few minutes to just call out a handful of people who liked our posts and shared our post on either Facebook or Instagram or some social media platform. So thank you to Nancy. I will not mention last names. You know who you are, and we appreciate you. So thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Doreen. Thank you, Michelle M. And thank you to Ariel. And again, to all of our listeners and supporters, we appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.
And if we forgot anyone, please forgive us. Remind me, and I will definitely mention you on the next episode.
As we wrap up today's episode, let's just take a moment to reflect on what it really means to show up for somebody. It's about more than just physical presence, I think, or lending an ear. It's about embodying empathy, compassion, and support in every interaction, whether it's during positive or negative experiences. I think that as we go about our days, our lives, that it's important to remember the impact that you can have on somebody simply by showing up. And I know Kim, you said it's not simple, but I think some aspects for me are our presence and the way we engage is also the way that we engage with others matter more than we realize. So if you found today's discussion valuable, be sure to tune in for new episodes every Thursday morning. And don't forget to subscribe to Unfiltered Perspectives on your favorite podcast platform and share it with your friends. We love to hear your thoughts and experiences, so please feel free to reach out to us on social media or by email at unfilteredperspectives@outlook.com. I'm Tara.
I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Leslie. Join us here next time. We'll see you then.